bringing Jay Bilas from the Mothership, covering the draft last night with the crew. Jay, good morning. How you feeling?
Dan, how you doing? Good to be with you, as always.
It's spectacular to have you on, and do you want to weigh in on the poll question, who will be an all-star first, Simmons or Ingram?
My guess is it'll be Simmons, but it's kind of like asking, whether it's going to be LeBron or Durant or something. I'm not sure that either of these guys are quite that good, but Simmons is the best all-around prospect I've seen since LeBron. I didn't think it was, while it was a reasonable question, you should certainly ask, which person would you take? I didn't think it was that hard of a decision for Philadelphia. I thought they kind of had to go the Simmons route because you just don't find guys like that very often. He's physically imposing. He's athletic. He's long. And he's incredibly skilled. The only thing that Ingram does better than Simmons is shoot right now, and I think he'll always shoot better. But I think Simmons will be a much better shooter than he's thought to be right now. And Dan, you saw him play a lot in college. I mean, you harken back to a guy like Grant Hill, who they're not similar in body style, but they're similar in skill set, except Simmons is a way better passer than Grant was at that time. But, Grant Hill, his first year, took 2 3-pointers, made one, and that was it. And if he had come out after his freshman year like Simmons is doing, the knock on everybody say he can't shoot. And so it's kind of a similar, you're projecting a guy at that age as to what he's going to be, and I think Simmons is going to get much better as a shooter.
But the three was a novelty back then. Now it's a given that now we want to know if you can shoot the three. So can you teach Simmons to be able to shoot the three?
Yes, you can. To where they have to come out and guard him. I'm not suggesting he's going to all of a sudden be one of the Splash Brothers, but his mechanics are not broken. It is not something where he's incapable of doing it. In fact, his coaching staff was really begging him to shoot perimeter shots, but he gets to the basket so easily. I mean, I thought it was remarkable. Did some research, talked to a lot of people just on some numbers issues that would be somewhat illuminating. And there were all these lists of NBA All-Stars that he scored more points than in college. And, like John Wall, he outscored John Wall in college. He out-rebounded Kevin Love in college. He out-assisted Steph Curry in college, Russell Westbrook in college, stuff like that. And so for a guy that some have said, well, he's not an alpha dog. I mean, if he's not an alpha dog, why aren't the alpha dogs producing more? Because I mean, if what is next after a beta dog, or what is, like, if he's a beta dog, give me that guy, because he produces, and I think he's going to produce at the NBA level where the game's a little more wide open.
Yeah, but I there's just something missing there. I don't know what happened where his team doesn't make the NCAA tournament, and maybe I'm hung up on that, Jay. I just think
That's
if you're
fair.
that good, it's hard to not make the tournament now. And
that's fair, but what I would say in response to that, and these are not excuses, but I guess you'd call them reasons. Keith Hornsby, their best shooter, missed. I think he missed like 15 or 16 games on the year, half the season, and didn't play the second half of the year, or the second half of conference play. He was out for the season. Craig Victor transferred in, didn't play the first 10 games, and that was when they had their major problems. And still, LSU played Kentucky in the last game for the SEC regular season title. And, they didn't go to the tournament, not for what they did in the SEC, but for what they didn't do in the non-conference. And so he had that. I don't think it was anything to do with coaching or all that stuff. But what I would ask is, if you swapped Simmons and Ingram went to LSU and Simmons went to Duke, what would we be saying about Simmons? He'd have this glow on him that we wouldn't be able to shine off, and then we'd be going, well, I don't know about Ingram. He's really skinny, and geez, he doesn't have he doesn't furrow his brow when he plays, and he's kind of got a sleepy look to him. Stuff like that. And I don't know that Brandon Ingram, as good as he is, would have gotten them to the tournament. But I think we would have seen a totally different deal, and that's why a lot of people said If you've got a brand like Simmons, you're a number one player like Simmons, you're being followed around by a camera crew all year like Simmons, and you got shoe executives, you're tripping over them to get to the gym at LSU. Would you be better off going to a blue blood program where nobody's going to question whether you're going to win? And you can produce less, and they're still going to recognize your talent over everything. That's a hard question, and I don't know that Ben would do anything any differently. But I'm telling you, that kid, he's a good kid. He's been the number one player for so long. You can't help but be a little bit affected by that. But he came from Australia, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like what people used to say about Sam Perkins, that he's so smooth and he's not overly emotional or demonstrative, and people somehow think he doesn't care. And I'm like, no way. I've seen him too much to know the kid cares, and he can do this. He can really play.
We're talking to Jay Bilas of the Mothership. I had a former ACC coach tell me yesterday that I was off on Ingram because, everybody's caught up on his build. And he said, let's look at all the positives he does. If the negative is he's slight, look at all the positives that he does. And he's a really good player. He can get to the hoop. He can shoot. He's smart. And so I don't know. Am I missing something on Ingram? Is Ingram somebody who can contribute next year for the Lakers?
Yes. Is he going to lead? Like, I don't know that any of these players now can come in at age 20 or 19, whatever. Ingram's a full year younger than Ben Simmons. So he's got that sort of arc of improvement to go to get to the same age. Like, he'll be better a year from now. But I don't think any of these guys are going to make the kind of difference that we would see years ago, like when Tim Duncan came into the league and all of a sudden you win 30 more games or whatever it was. I just don't see that kind of thing happening. It's too different now, and the players are younger, and they need a little bit more, a little bit of time to adjust. I mean, Simmons is built like a man yet, but he's not 21. He can't even go into a bar and order a drink. So it's kind of a different time, but Ingram's the real deal too. He's really good. It's kind of the issue of if you had trying to think, if you had LeBron, and I keep going back to LeBron, and neither of these guys are LeBron, but if you had LeBron and Durant in the same year, you'd take LeBron first and you wouldn't hesitate. But it doesn't mean that Durant's not really good. Like when Durant came out, I thought I would have taken Oden first, and I think I would have been in a long line of people that are claiming, that felt the same way and now are claiming differently. But when Durant was drafted, I mean, we were all saying, this guy's going to win a bunch of scoring titles. You knew he was going to be great. It's just, you saw something maybe a little bit better in another way with a different player. And that's kind of the way I feel about the Simmons-Ingram thing.
Any new draft cliches, the draft and stash?
Draft and stash, there's 3 and D. Stretch 4 has become a big deal now. Like everybody says stretch 4. So what's kind of crazy is we are dealing with positionless and stretch 4. Like if it's positionless, why do we care whether the guy's a stretch 4? So we should really just go with he can really shoot it.
I was amazed.
Positionless, but what position is he going to play? Well, he's positionless, but he doesn't have a position.
I was amazed the number of times the references to Draymond Green, a Draymond Green type of player, or looking for a Draymond Green type of player. Did you guys kind of gather that like Draymond Green? Can you find somebody, that hybrid, that he can play different positions? He's positionless, but it felt like Draymond Green was the object of desire in some of these players in drafting them, that maybe they can be that kind of player.
Well, you've been through this way more than I have, especially with the Mothership. Like you're asked the question by maybe SportsCenter or somewhere else that said, all right, who's the next Draymond Green, or who's the Draymond Green in this class? And you can say, look, don't ask me that question. Let's not do that. Or you can just say, you know what, they're going to ask it anyway, so I might as well just answer it. And that's kind of the way it goes sometimes. It's like back when we started doing on basketball game day, we started doing picks. Like football does, and I railed against it. I'm like, we don't know who's going to win. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to lose this, so I might as well just make the pick and just hope they don't ask me to put a mascot head on.
Before I let you go, we had Patrick Ewing on last hour, and I brought up some quotes that John Thompson made about Patrick and big men and how they're perceived as head coaching candidates. Is there a perception, a profile, a bias against taller coaches? As Patrick said, we always look at the point guard that he sees the floor, or if you're a big guy, you're on the floor just because you're a big guy, whereas the little guy has to be able to prove that he can play. Is there a bias that goes on?
I don't know if I call it a bias, but I do think there's something built in where, it's always the point guard that is the extension of the coach on the floor and the floor leader and all that stuff. And, I've known Patrick since I played against him when I was in high school in an all-star game. He's from the East Coast. I grew up out west and got to know him when we were both in college. And what a great dude. But I can't believe that he's not getting more attention as a coaching candidate, and he should be up there. But look at all the guys that are all these guys are guards.
Yeah.
And I can't think of many big guys that are coaches right now. Larry Kristoviak's the coach at Utah, but outside of that,
well, Luke Walton.
It seems like if you're tall enough to ride the rides, you are disqualified from coaching.
How did you do against Ewing in that All-Star game?
I scored 14 points, and I was very proud of myself. He probably had like 28 or so, but one of my teammates broke the backboard before the game. We played at Pepperdine, and so that's what I do. Like I tell everybody, I played against Michael Jordan in college, and Ewing and I squared up against. He didn't even know who I was. I don't think he knew I was even out there, but I can claim that I played against him.
Does Jordan know you were on the floor?
Yeah, because I keep saying that I was. I keep reminding him. But I think he'd rather have the $500 million than the fact that we beat them the last time the two teams played.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I got that going for me, which is nice.
Hey, Jay, it was great stuff last night. Tell the crew congrats. It was a fun watch. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, my brother. Thanks for having me.
That's Jay Bilas of the Mothership.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.